50xx, no reflex, loss h. So E is a bit small. Fascinating, fascinating. Perhaps gratuitous, but yeah, you get to cackle. You can cackle all along. It's not being recorded, sadly. But, you know, cackle in the chat. I don't know how you write that. That is the question. YouTube. How are you? Now, we have been working on something very interesting, which is the second Historical Linguistics Challenge, also known as the Magnificent Destruction of Me. And I think if you haven't seen the first bit, go watch the first bit. We'll have a link for you there in the description. And otherwise, I think we should just jump in because time is of the essence. So let's scoot back to the side webcam and let's get working. So our setup right now, we have our cognates on the left, we have our correspondences in the middle, and on the right we will have our rules. So we need to put together some columns for A, B, C, D, and E. And you're not able to see all of them at the moment. We will rectify this somehow. And let's just put in a placeholder here so that I can properly size these columns. You see, this is how you know it's all done live, because if we had planned this out in advance, it would be a lot smoother. So this is like a certificate of authenticity for you. All right, so then let's, I don't understand. Why don't these things move? Okay, so apparently we can't make it smaller than that, so this is what we're going to be stuck with. Right. Okay. So if our current reconstructions are sound, we have in C, I'm just going to delete these placeholders. In C, we have something like L to 0 at the start of the word. Maybe in more places, who knows? Ooh, did you see that? It made the nice arrow. Okay, this IPA keyboard layout does have its advantages. Then in, oh, sorry, that should go in C, or in B, right? Yeah, that should go in B. Okay. Then what else do we have? We have, we lose the tap in B as well, initially. Why didn't it do it that time? Ah, okay, it's equals and then the, okay, cool. And then this is deleted. Okay, that's how you do it. So this rule goes in B. This rule goes in E as well. Sorry, E is a bit small. For some reason, I am unable to shrink this window any more. There we go. Yeah, so B looks to have, yeah, Sutton points out, have lost word initial liquids, at least word initial. We haven't looked at anything else yet. What else do we have? So if we're going to have this as the protoform, then we will also change it to W in E. Okay. Okay, so I think this is what we have so far. Let's tackle these nasals. So that is the question. We have a variety of reflexes of these nasals, 21, 22, 23, and 26. What are we going to do with these, team? What are we going to do? So we lose Okay, all three of these in A are before different vowels. We have E, I, O, and O. If we look in another language, Sutton pointed out that C and E look to be relatively conservative with respect to word shape, so maybe that's the best place for us to start. Is we have E, I, E, O. Yeah, you get to cackle. You can cackle all along. I mean, it's not being recorded, sadly, but you know, cackle in the chat. I don't know how you write that. Mwahaha. Is that a mwahaha situation? I think so. Let's see. So let's take a look at B. Where do we find the palatal nasal? We find it before front vowels. I think it's a lot more likely for velars to front before front vowels than it is for palatals to back before back vowels. So I think this is what I would probably do is posit in B something like an ancestral velar nasal going to a palatal nasal before. Well, first of all, let's just say at the start of words for now. We don't know if that's true, but let's be maximally specific at the moment, and then before front vowels. Okay. And then actually what's interesting is we seem to see this as well with G. G seems to front as well. So that's good evidence in favor of this analysis. Well, it strengthens my suspicion. I don't know if it's good evidence. But it seems that we have a general fronting of velars in front of front vowels. So that's good to know. And so that accounts for these two. Then let's take a look at what happens in E. So in E, we have something interesting going on. We have a uvular nasal showing up. And in a place that you don't expect a uvular nasal to be if it's conditioned. So we may be looking at an ancestral form here that is changed in all other branches. Okay, yep, Sutton, great minds think alike. I think we're on the same page here. And so if we take the velar nasal as ancestral, then we can do something like, maybe there are two back nasals in the proto-language. There's the velar nasal, and then there's the the velar nasal here and the uvular nasal. Sorry, if I said velar nasal when referring to this symbol, I meant uvular nasal. My brain's bandwidth is showing its limits. So we have the original uvular nasal, which fronts in general in all of these languages, and then further fronts before front vowels in B. And then we have essentially two back nasals in the proto-language, which are distinguished in E. Yeah, I think that's probably what we have. Otherwise, I don't know how to derive this distinction between the uvular nasal in 21 and the velar nasal in 23. So then let's put that in. And then maybe this is actually what's going to give us our distinction in D. Maybe it's the uvular nasal that drops out in D and the velar nasal stays. Which would give us evidence that this too is the velar nasal. So the uvular nasal. And these are the velar nasal in the proto-language. And then we just need to come up with some rules. I think that works. So then we can get rid of this. Yeah, that's also going to be pointing us towards looking for more uvular-velar contrasts in the proto-language. But I've got to keep my eye on the prize here. So keep these things in your mind, chat. Okay, so uvular nasal to velar nasal, and this rule is crucially ordered because we get them fronting further before front vowels. So this rule here has to be before this rule here. And actually we get this in this same rule in all of the languages except in D, where we get the loss. And I'm going to put word initial environments on all of these for now. I somehow doubt that they're all going to be just word initial, but that's what we have the evidence for at the start, for the time being rather. And so that's what I will do to sort of keep ourselves kind of organized here. So, sorry you have to leave us, Deep Solar. Have a good day at work, and we'll keep plugging on. We'll keep the what's the phrase? We'll hold down the fort. All right, and then I think that accounts for all of our everything that we have here. So that's good. Control-C, Control-V. And it's interesting, these three, A, B, and C, share this innovation. So we may want to consider A, B, and C to form a subgrouping of their own, marked by this shared innovation. But I'm pretty proud of that. That's so far so good. Okay. So then we have two things that we can do. We can look and try and reconstruct the rest of the initials, or we can look and try and reconstruct the rest of the sonorant system in other positions. I think what we will do is stick with the initials for now. There are pros and cons to each, but I think we'll stick with the initials for now. Excuse me. We'll leave nasalization. We know it's going to have to be dealt with. But let's keep going with the initials. And let's look at, let's start to look at the, what are we going to do? Let's start to look at our obstruents. And so we have a lot more of them. So let's carve up our task a little bit more, and let's look at the labial obstruents. So we have something like word 1, where we have this is painful. I'm just going to copy and paste it. This is okay. The main downfall of this IPA input method is that I can't make the octothorpe, if you want the best word for it. I positively went Mr. Burns when I said that, the octothorpe. I'm so passionate about that word. Okay, so let's take a look. What are our cognates here? This is a bit tough because we have a B, a word initial B here, but we have disyllabic forms in B, C, and E. And we have this monosyllabic form in A. And one wonders, this wouldn't be such a problem, except they both start with labials, and so there's some question as to which labial this B continues. The B in language A. If you can keep all of that straight. But we know at least we have something like V. Sorry, getting that wrong. V, loss, and P. I'm gonna just, so I don't get distracted. And then maybe B here. If this B carries on the first syllable, but if it carries on the second syllable, that's not it. All right, let's keep going. Let's find all of our friends that show this pattern. All of our labial obstruents. Hello, labials. Where are 17? Okay. So here we have Rick Wakeman mode engaged. B, 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 and then let's see if I can do this. P, and then no, that's not right. Okay, so I'm just going to copy and paste that because I cannot find where it is on the IPA keyboard. If I had a third monitor, I'd put up the documentation for the IPA keyboard on it. Maybe actually I can do that. Okay, I'll sort that out after the next break. Okay, so more labial obstruents. We have 27. And here we have P, aspirated P, F, loss, and the bilabial fricative. Voiceless bilabial fricative. Right. This is kind of interesting. These two, the patterns of 1 and 27. Okay. 27's off your screen. Apologies again. Thanks for keeping me honest. Let's continue. 27. We also have 28. You can see down to 33. Okay, so 28. We have bilabial fricative. We have loss. We have the bilabial fricative. And then we have W. 29. So did I do? No, I was doing 29. My apologies. 28. We have first loss, then aspirated P, then F, then P, then. So this looks to be continuing. 27 and 28 look to be continuing the same sound in the proto-language. We just have incomplete sets for both of them. Luckily, between the two of them, we have a complete set. And then let's look at 30. So on 30, we have loss. I'm sorry, we have no reflex. It looks like it's the same as 29. Great. Let's go on and see what else we can find. Don't see any more. No, okay, looks like that's everything. So let's move on and take a look at the other places of articulation. So with the different places of articulation, you have to sort of keep your eye out for different things. Different things are likely to happen to coronals than they are to labials and dorsals. And so with coronals and labials, we're always going to be alert for the possibility of palatalization, the effect of high or front vowels on the consonants. Getting a request from Sutton to look at 50. So here we are. Take this opportunity to have a swig of tea. All right. Now it's getting warm. So there you are, Sutton. That's our number 50. Yeah, do you want to look at velars first? We can look at velars first. So let's start with 50. Go in reverse. It looks like we don't have initial consonant clusters, so this environment is kind of perhaps gratuitous, but let's do, okay, so we have 50XX, no reflex, loss, H. And in 49, we have X, sh, X, X, H. This difference could be a difference in the consonant, or it could be a difference in the vowel. Not sure. I mean, that, yeah, Sutton and I agree that the identity of this consonant looks like it has a lot to do with this E, because we see the same thing in 48. And that's a very natural palatalization process. And so 49 and 48 functionally have the same correspondence set. Let's continue on with the velars. Now, Sutton points out, just before we go, Sutton points out that D doesn't keep X all the time. So the velar fricative, voiceless velar fricative, is not kept by D all the time. So in 50 it's lost. Does that sound familiar to you? Something is not kept by D all the time. Because it does sound familiar to me. And we are looking for evidence of this uvular-velar split. We see that D likes to drop, if our hypothesis so far is correct, likes to drop the uvular and keep the velar. So maybe that's what's going on here. In fact, I'm fairly confident that that's what is going on there. But let's just look at it a little bit more before we rush into it, because we may find other sources of evidence one way or another in our initials. So let's continue to work. Let's see, do we have any more velars or dorsals, I guess, because we don't know if they're velars. Oh, nope, sorry, I missed this one. Right, so we have the voiced velar fricative in 36. Voiced velar fricative, we have our sh. We have our voiced velar fricative again. Then we have this weird rhoticized, it's not weird, it's great, but this rhoticized E in D, which might just be the influence of that following tap. Not totally sure. I'll call it a loss for now. And then we have H in E. Oops, H and E. What else? What's next? 33. We have K. We have aspirated K. So this is the same kind of pattern we saw in 28. K, aspirated K. Sorry about the noise outside, everyone. We have K. Oh, where was I? Oh yeah, 33. K aspirated K. K loss. And the uvular shows up again. Fascinating, fascinating, fascinating. So I think we may be dealing with the same pattern here, where D loses a uvular and E has it. And so 32, oh yeah, we're looking at 32 now. Loss and uvular fricative. Let's see what else we can do. So we have in 24 and 25, we have something going on. So let's go backwards. So 25, G, J, G, J, K, G, and K. I know we had such high hopes for the IPA keyboard, but I will get better at it, and copying and pasting will one day be a thing of the past. And then we have basically the same correspondences in 24. So let's... Sheet 2 is off the screen now? Is it? I see it here. Oh yeah, sorry. At the bottom. Ship. Always keeping me honest. I appreciate it. I've got to put a little marker on the screen to see where it cuts off. See if I can actually... Well, I'll do it during the break. Oh, speaking of which, it's time for a break. So why don't we... Let's ponder. Look at what we've accomplished. We have uncovered a little pattern, I think, pointing to this series of uvulars and velars that were in the proto-language, in which we... sorry, I lost my train of thought, because something occurred to me. We see evidence for a series of uvulars and velars in the proto-language, which are merged in A, B, and C, and in favor of velars, and the uvular member of which is lost in D. And so I think that's something that we can work on, but I'm going to put in a cut here. So YouTube, thank you so much for joining us. I'm going to see you again soon, or rather, you're going to see me again soon, I think is probably the better way of saying it. But yeah, we're going to keep going. We're going to solve this, or be utterly destroyed while trying. Okay, we'll see you next time.